they say that we're a part of the universe, so whatever's going on in the universe happens inside us as well, or vice versa, whatever's happening in with us happens in the universe. And let's be real, everything around us is rattling. It's not you. If you're not able to settle, if you're not able to find peace, it's literally between a coming in and out of a pandemic with a potential of a fucking world war. It's a lot. And everything at home tends to get rattled as well. And today, when I say home, I'm talking about your friendships. And to me, my friendships are that. They are home. I moved away from my home country when I was 18. So my friends have been my community. They've been my support. They've been my way of feeling held and feeling home. But 2 years into this pandemic, and we've all changed. I mean, we've all aged. There's that. But if you've experienced loss, and if you've experienced death, and if you've experienced any sort of transformation, which we've all sort of been ushered into, then those relationships that you once took for granted that you could depend on may be less dependable and may look a little different. So what do you do potentially at a time when you need them the most, right? What happened with me, like I think many people during the pandemic, I doubled down on some of my friendships. We bubbled together, and our children bubbled together, and we just became really codependent in a sense because we needed it. And some people distanced themselves, they shut down, they chose to work on their own personal development, or for a multiple number of reasons, they withdrew from people, society, all that energy. And calling and texting them incessantly is not the way to draw that back out. Ask me how I know that. And trying to coerce them back out is not the right way either. Ask me how I know that. It took me a while to come to terms with the fact that my desperate need to connect was in conflict with their need to withdraw. And in a friendship, everybody deserves to have their needs met, right? But what do you do when you have opposing needs? First of all, if you're a good friend, you maybe try to put their needs first. Can you endure the distance? Can you endure the silent treatment? Can you self-soothe in a way? And I know it's hard if you've had like a 2,000-day streak on Snapchat. I'm just kidding, I don't use Snapchat. I'm too old for that shit. But you know what I mean. Balance between reaching out and letting them know that you're there and harassing them, potentially. And then finally, at some point, it might become too much, because then you might have to start thinking about you. Are your needs getting met? Because as we talked about, teenagers will be teenagers, and people are still getting cancer, and life still goes on, which means that you need your support system. So then I think you need to call on your two old friends, compassion and patience. I mean, Patience and I are not friends. We're working on it. Let's just say we've been acquaintances for a long time. And when it comes to compassion, you need to talk about compassion to yourself first. Okay, so you're the needy one. So you need to have people around you. You need to have your friends around you. That's okay. And somebody else is the opposite and needs to have the space. That's okay too. It's hard, because we talk about, it's really hard to make good friends in your 30s and 40s. It's really hard to break up with your friends in your 30s and 40s. And that shit still happens too. And long-term relationships, like romantic relationships, go through ebbs and flows. So is this one of those situations that you can just ride out? Or then have you just drifted apart? Which happens. And maybe it's time to acknowledge that you loved somebody and there was a time in your life when they were very, very special to you. And now people have changed and people have drifted apart. Let them go with a hug. You know what they say, if you love somebody, let them free, and if they come back, then they're yours, or they didn't belong to you in the first place, or whatever. And I think that applies to friendship as well. I mean, if we've all changed and we've all grown, I think it's just natural that some relationships no longer play a central role in your life, and that's okay. So maybe you grieve them, but eventually you come to acceptance and you let them go in peace and in love and with compassion. I don't know. It's a tough one. It's something that I'm struggling with. But at the end of the day, I know that I have to be true to myself in terms of my needs and the kinds of friendships I want, and they have to be true to themselves. And that's a best case scenario for everybody. So I don't have an answer to this one. So I'd love to hear what you think. Cheers.